Approach the bench. Judge Charles Hargrove's voice cracked like a whip through to the Washington, D.C. courtroom, icy and absolute. Caroline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary, stepped forward, a silver cross flashing on her collar. Pam Bondi, U.S. Attorney General, moved with her, an identical silver cross glinting at her neck. They'd come to watch a case, Christians suing over a public prayer ban, but Hargrove's eyes zeroed in on their necklaces, ignoring the file in his hand. "What are those?" he snapped, glaring over wire-rimmed glasses, gavel clenched like a fist. "This isn't a church. Take them off, now." Caroline fired back, voice razor-sharp. "I'm Caroline Leavitt, President Trump's press secretary. This cross is my faith, shielded by the First Amendment. It violates nothing." Pam's words sliced through. "Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Same deal. Point me to the law banning it." Hargrove's face flared red, his grip tightening. "I rule this court," he roared, slamming the gavel so hard it echoed. "Those crosses disrupt everything. $500 fines each. Contempt of court." The room buzzed alive. A guy in an "I Am King" t-shirt leaned toward a woman with a loud, shiny necklace. Hargrove didn't bat an eye at them. Bailiff James Wilson stood like a statue, arms crossed, watching it unfold. Mrs. Thompson, the clerk, froze mid-type, her gaze flicking up. Caroline didn't flinch. "The First Amendment says I can wear it. Show me the rule." Pam doubled down. "I've run justice nationwide. No law, no ban. Church of Lukumi Babalu I buries your argument." Hargrove erupted. "Don't school me on law." The gavel smashed again, a thunderclap. "My court, my word." Caroline's phone was already recording, tucked out of sight. "Fine us then. This ends nowhere near here. I demand a 6-month audit of your fines on religious symbols. And First Amendment training for every soul in this room. You're not exempt." Pam nodded fast. "I'm with her. This smells like bias baked into your bench. Pull the numbers. Let's see." The crowd detonated. An older man leapt up, shouting, "They're right!" and clapped like it was a rally. A young woman hissed to her friend, "Who are they?" Mrs. Thompson's fingers flew, eyes wide, soaking in the electric moment. James Wilson's stone face cracked, a flicker of awe breaking through. Hargrove sank into his chair, hands jittering on the gavel, color leaching from his cheeks. These weren't random nobodies. They were Trump's mouthpiece and the nation's legal hammer. Law pulsing through them. Caroline's voice dropped low, deadly. "Think I'm just a talking head? I've scrapped with Trump through elections, policy wars, learned law to fight his battles. Now it's mine and theirs." Pam hit harder. "I'm the Attorney General. Decades in justice. Finding faith? That's a crime you're committing, Judge." Hargrove flailed, words failing him. Caroline sealed it. "You've screwed yourself." She slapped her White House card on the bench with a snap. Pam tossed her AG credentials beside it, a 1-2 punch. They stepped back, eyes drilling through him. The room erupted. Applause thundered. "Caroline! Pam!" chants bouncing off the walls. "I can kill the fines," Hargrove croaked, voice a frail thread. "No need to blow this up." Caroline shook her head, fierce. "Number dropping them now just proves you're buckling because of who we are. The rot's in your court. My demands don't budge." Pam backed her. "Justice isn't your sandbox. We're tearing this down and building it right." The crowd roared louder. "That's it," the older man bellowed, clapping like a drum beat. Mrs. Thompson's shaky hands raced to capture history as it unfolded. James Wilson edged closer, throwing them a nod of pure respect. Hargrove's reign shattered. Outside, sunlight slammed into their crosses, igniting them like torches. Caroline fired the recording to Trump's advisor. Hargrove fined us for crosses. We hit back. Next move? Pam flicked open X. Roth's crossing court was a wildfire. A tweet screamed, "Judge fined Trump's press sec and AG for crosses. They crushed him." Inside, chaos reigned. The older man grabbed his neighbor's arm. "Never seen a judge get owned like that. 2 minutes flat," the young woman whispered to her friend. "They're Trump's people. Holy hell." Mrs. Thompson printed the transcript, hands trembling, muttering, "This is big, real big." James Wilson pulled his phone, already dialing. "You won't believe this. A judge just got schooled by 2 women with crosses." Back in the fray, Hargrove stared at the cards on his bench, sweat beading on his forehead. He'd tangled with the wrong pair. Caroline's demand wasn't a suggestion, it was a guillotine. Pam's backing made it ironclad. The crowd wouldn't quit. Someone yelled, "Give 'em hell!" Another voice chimed, "Crosses 1, Hargrove 0. Caroline didn't let up. "You thought you'd flex and we'd fold? I've faced bigger bullies than you. Won every time. This audit's happening and you'll answer for it." Pam leaned in. "I've prosecuted worse than this. Your fines are a paper trail of prejudice. Bet they're stacked against faith. We're digging it all up." Hargrove's voice broke. "You can't do this. I'll fight it." But his bluster was hollow, his hands fumbling papers like a drowning man clutching straws. The older man laughed, loud and raw. "Fight? You're done, pal. Those 2 just buried you." The room fed off it. Whispers turned to shouts. Phones slipped out despite rules, filming the wreckage. Mrs. Thompson hit print again, stack growing, eyes darting like she was in a war zone. James Wilson stepped to Hargrove's side, voice low. "They've got you cold, Judge. Might want to think hard." Outside, Caroline's phone buzzed. Trump's advisor. "Recording's gold. Push it. Turn the screws." Pam scrolled X. Posts flooded in. "Judge versus crosses. Guess who lost? Trump's team just smoked a courtroom." Your crossing court hit top trends, likes piling up like wildfire sparks. Word raced beyond the walls. Linda, a researcher with a nose for dirt, got wind and dove into Hargrove's records. She found it fast. Fines for religious symbols tripled anything else. Crosses, hijabs, stars. Hargrove hit them hard, ignored the rest. She shot the data to Caroline. "He's cooked. 70% of his penalties are faith-based. Nail him." Inside, Hargrove tried one last gasp. "I'll appeal. Higher courts will back me." His voice was a squeak, drowned by the crowd's jeers. "Sit down," someone hollered. "You're toast," another added. Caroline smirked. "Appeal? Good luck. I've got the White House behind me. Trump's already on this. Your records are mine now." Pam piled on. "And I've got the DOJ. We'll rip your history apart. Every fine, every bias. You're not wiggling out." The older man stood again, fist pumping. "Take him down, ladies." The young woman filmed, whispering, "This is insane. They're legends." Mrs. Thompson's printer jammed. She cursed, yanked paper free, kept going. James Wilson shook his head, almost grinning. "Never seen a bench break like that." Hargrove cracked. "I'll resign," he blurted, voice a rasp. "But I'll help fix it. I was wrong." The room froze, then exploded again. "Too late," someone shouted. "Fix it yourself," another jabbed. Outside, Caroline and Pam stood shoulder to shoulder, crosses blazing in the sun. Caroline's phone lit up. Trump himself. "You're my warriors. Keep swinging. Hargrove's finished. Pam showed her uncharted crossing court posts hit millions. Judge quits after cross clash. Trump's duo destroys court. Linda's data hit the news. Hargrove's bias plastered everywhere. He slunk off, promising reform, but the damage was done. Caroline and Pam didn't stop. They pushed the audit, got the training mandated. Courts nationwide felt the ripple. Trump beamed, calling them my unbeatable pair. Hours later, Caroline and Pam strode into the Oval Office. Trump leapt from his chair, grin splitting his face. You two, you're dynamite. Hargrove's toast and the country's on fire. What's the play? Caroline flashed her phone, Linda's data blazing on screen. His fines, 70% nailed faith symbols. It's a weapon. We're hitting every court he touched. Pam jumped in. DOJ's on it. Teams are ripping through records. Hargrove's the tip. This is deeper. We're gutting it. Trump clapped, a boom in the room. Beautiful. Crossing courts everywhere. People love this. Faith fighting back. Hammer it. Make it huge. Caroline nodded. Audits rolling. Every fine's getting cracked open. Hargrove's legacy's ash now. Pam smirked. Training's locked too. Judges won't dare pull this again. DOJ's got eyes everywhere. Trump paced, electric. You blindsided him. Thought he'd slap you down, huh? You slapped him into oblivion. Keep the heat on, loud and proud. Caroline fired back. We've got 10 more courts flagged already. Same pattern. This isn't one judge. It's a web. Pam cracked her knuckles. DOJ's briefing hits tomorrow. Hargrove's files go public. Every bias he hid, we're dragging into daylight. Trump pointed at their crosses. Those little things. You made 'em warheads. Nobody saw this coming. Keep swinging. Next day, Hargrove faced a press swarm, head low. I misjudged. Resigning's right. I'll train. Fix this. Reporters pounced. Why target faith? What's next? He stammered. I'll make amends, and bolted from the mics. Caroline and Pam watched from Trump's office TV. Trump cackled. Look at him. Tail between his legs. You broke him. Now build bigger. Caroline's eyes narrowed. Audit's first drops tomorrow. 10 courts. Same stink. We're hunting the roots. Pam grinned. DOJ's filing suits if we find more. Faith's no punching bag now. Trump leaned in. You're my aces. This is gold. People are screaming your names out there. Use it. X burned hotter. Crosses crush tyrant judge. Trump's warriors win big. Comments flooded. Thousands cheering. Some raging, all loud. Caroline scrolled, voice cool. They're calling us legends. Perfect. Let's ride it. Pam agreed. DOJ's presser's live. Hargrove's dirt's out. Every fine, every slant. Public now. Days later, the audit hit. 10 courts exposed, fines mirroring Hargrove's bias. Judges squirmed. Memos flew. Reform wasn't optional. Caroline hit the podium, cross gleaming. Faith's not a crime. We proved it. This stops now. Pam followed, voice steel. DOJ's cracking down. Courts clean up or we do it for them. Game's changed. Crowds cheered. Signs waved. Crosses won. Hargrove lost. X erupted again. Ross crossing court posts doubled. Trump's duo rewrites justice. Faith fights back, wins. Trump called, voice booming. You're unstoppable. Hargrove's a ghost. Courts are shaking. Push harder. Caroline smirked. Audits widening. 20 more courts next. This is war now. Pam nodded. DOJ's got teeth in. Lawsuits ready. Bias dies here. Their crosses, once quiet, now thundered, symbols of grit, law, and faith unbreakable. The fight didn't just win. It torched the old rules and built new ones.